Hi friend, my name is Marcus Lapp. I am a former stutterer, a speech coach, and founder of SpeakYourMindMethod.com. And more recently, I have taken on the role of cloning somebody named Chris Martin from Coldplay. Since I had a cold over the past few days and I'm just getting out of it, I'm right in that sweet spot where if I go on stage, Chris Martin goes on stage. We basically have the same voice now. Anyway, we're not going to talk about Coldplay today in this video. Instead, we're going to talk about a speech therapist here on the internet whose name is Anna Deeter. Now, Anna Deeter, she has the website or the brand of, I think it's called Live Stutter Free. And she has a bit of a bold claim that she puts out there. And her program is basically a 3-day program where she essentially, I think, guarantees a cure, which is a little bit dubious at first glance, right? And so, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something I'm missing. So I'm going to go into this with a bit of an open mind, and I'm going to share my honest critique about what I see and what I hear her say. And when I agree with her, I will note that. And when I disagree with her, I will be very honest about my thoughts as well, because you, the audience, deserve that. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and let's see what this 3-day cure that Anna Deeter loves to talk about. Let's see if it has any root. Okay, so let's take a look at this video right here from Anna Deeter's Live Stutter Free YouTube channel. It says the title is Switch from Stuttering to Speaking in 3 Days. Show me the door, please. Okay, well, let's see what this is about.
How we can fix this? I'm confused.
There is nothing to fix because all you have is a bunch of illusions.
All right, coming in hot right off the bat. There's nothing to fix. All you have is a bunch of illusions. I'm going to start with the first part of that. There's nothing to fix. It's a little bit of an insult to people who stutter, maybe a lot of an insult, to tell them that there isn't a problem that you need to fix, that the problem does not exist. As if it's this sort of, oh, just change your viewpoint or change the way you're looking at it. And it's a bit of an insult because those of us who have stuttered, including myself, we know what it is like to go through life and to experience all those roadblocks, all those social hindrances or those social embarrassments, whatever it might be. And it doesn't matter how much you try and tell me that, oh, it's not a problem. Yes, it's a problem. We experience it as a problem. Therefore, it is one. And I don't see why that's a bad thing. This idea that you shouldn't see stuttering as a problem to solve or a problem that you can fix, why not? That act of recognizing a problem and then coming up with a solution is one of the most fulfilling things a human being can do. It's one of the most, that's part of what makes us humans, and that's part of what makes life enjoyable, is being able to perceive a problem and then work towards coming up with that solution. There's nothing bad about stuttering being a problem. And so maybe it's semantics here that I'm getting too particular about, but I just think it's kind of an insult to say that, oh, you don't have a problem. Deep down, anybody who's ever stuttered, we know we have a problem. And perhaps that's part of the issue here. I might be wrong. I don't think Anna Deeter is a former stutterer. And so that might be influencing her viewpoint here and the language that she's using. And by the way, I might be wrong. Maybe she did have a time in her life where she stuttered, but I didn't see it anywhere in a obvious, or I didn't see it anywhere at the forefront of any of her marketing material or anything. So I think I might be right about that. But anyway, so let's keep this going. And to finish the line there, she says, all you have is a bunch of illusions. I'm not going to comment on that yet. We'll see what she means by that.
The illusions cannot be fixed.
Okay.
You think that you are disordered, ill, something is wrong with you, but physically you are 100% healthy. And because you think that you are disordered, you behave differently from other people.
Now, that's completely wrong. You and I do not behave differently or speak differently because we think we're disordered. We stutter in this case because that is the habit of our brain when we are in particular situations. Yes, maybe some situations the stuttering is less or non-existent, but the fact remains that when you're in certain situations or social settings or whatever, that habit turns on and it kind of runs the show without you having to do anything. And so this idea that it's just because you see yourself disordered and therefore you act like a stutterer, that again, it's kind of insulting, right? This is not the way it actually works. This is not the experience of being a stutterer. We stutter because we have a habit of stuttering. And habits are a much more powerful force than any conscious action that you try to take. In a battle between a habitual action and a conscious, deliberate action, the habit is going to almost always win. And if you want to learn more about this type of idea, then go look up Daniel Kahneman's model of System 1 versus System 2. System 1 is basically that habitual, that automatic response to situations. And then System 2 is more about that deliberate, conscious part of your experience where you're actually thinking about it, you're actually calculating. And those are two very different systems. And yet System 1 is almost always more powerful and strong. Okay, so this is just completely wrong. You don't stutter because you think you're disordered. It's completely an oversimplified way of, it's not even oversimplified. I just think it's dead wrong.
Basically, you set up wrong goals for yourself and attempt to complete wrong tasks that you give to yourself. That's why you're having difficulties and you call it stuttering. For example, how can we view a person who is attempting to get through the wall?
We can.
It's possible. All you need to do is tell him, here is the door.
Now, the thing here that she mentions about not pushing through the wall, I completely agree with her on this point. I think it's a really big problem where people who stutter, and this was me as well, I would kind of tend to not even open my options up and just, when I would get stuck in a loop, I would just try to push it out, right? And it's counterproductive. It doesn't lead you anywhere you want to go. It reinforces the old habits. So many negatives with that sort of approach. And this is actually what I call and what I've dubbed the to hell with it impulse, where it's like almost you shut your brain off and you just say to hell with it, and you just keep pushing against that wall. You stay stuck in that loop. And so this is going to be, I guess, the first thing that I'm in agreement with Anna on. I think it is a really big problem, and it is one of the things that any good coach or therapist will work on and will help their clients to understand, is that you don't need to push through the wall. When you start to fall into that loop or start to push against that wall, you want to stop yourself. You want to restart. It's what I call the hammer tool. And there are other, even more abstract versions of this as well, where it's not always as hands-on as that. It's also a mindset thing. But yeah, so I do agree with her on that part. Now, where I kind of agree, kind of disagree, she said here that here is the door, right? So it's like, okay, you're pushing through the wall, stop, don't do that, here is the door. I agree with Anna that there is a door, but sometimes it's not in sight. And sometimes it's at the other end of a massive maze that you need to get through, and it's going to take some time for you to find that door. And that maze, that's where people get stuck in. And they lose hope before they find the door because of perhaps people like Anna Deeter, who promise that they can find that door in 3 days. So I agree. Again, there is a door, and it's a beautiful door, and it's amazing, and you need to stop pushing through the wall. But it's not as straightforward as that. sometimes it's hard to find that door. You can find it, but it can be difficult.
If he has agreed to accept that normal people walk through the door, then he's going to immediately become normal and begin acting just like everyone else.
So he's going to become normal and start acting like everyone else. So this is a little bit like a socially anxious person who goes to a party and the advice you tell that person is, hey, just go to the party and just act like everyone else, right? Just go and enjoy yourself. Just have fun. Act like everyone. And it's like, it's not that simple. There are patterns, there are habits that are driving that person's behavior in this socially anxious way. And so it's going to take much more of a slow growth, step-by-step process to build up the comfort and the competence and the confidence in that social setting to start to rise above that social anxiety in a case like that. Now, with stuttering, it's very much the same thing. Of course, you can find fluency and you can reach that place where you are speaking like everyone else. But this idea that it's just a switch that you can flip is completely wrong. That is not how this works. And you need an approach where there is actually growth here. This is all about growth. This isn't a light switch that you can turn off and on. This is growth. This is taking the fluency habit or the fluency program in the brain, as I like to call it, that does already exist because you already likely have certain situations that you speak fluently. So what do? We strengthen that. We fuel that. We work in service of making that habit as strong as possible, making that program the supreme program in the brain when it comes to speech. And over time, you can reach this place. But this idea that it's a switch that you can just turn on and then you talk like everyone else, again, I know I keep coming back to this, but doesn't this sound kind of insulting? It's like, I just need to speak like everyone else. I've never thought of that. Amazing. Let me just go do that. It's a little silly.
But if he refuses to get through the door and continue attempting to get through the wall, he's gonna continue struggling. In this class, we show to people who stutter how to get through the door just like everyone else.
Okay, so I think we have a good idea now of what Anna Deeter believes in, how she approaches stuttering and overcoming it. So now the question is she for real? Like, is this possible that in 3 days, that with her program, that you could all of a sudden be fluent? The answer to that is yes, with a big old caveat. But it's actually, yes, it is possible. It's very possible, actually, that you could overcome stuttering in the span of those 3 days. But you know what? That is not much of an accomplishment at all. If I work with you for 3 days, we are bound to find a certain levels or certain, where we can start coasting on a particular plane and we find fluency in a particular way, and then we just keep repeating that, and I get you to keep repeating that, and all of a sudden you're speaking fluently, and we can stay in that gear, and we're coasting. I can get you to do that. That's not an accomplishment. To get people to stop stuttering within the context of a Zoom session within 3 days, that's not worth that much. What's worth something is if your clients are growing and becoming better at speaking after 30 days and 60 days and 90 days and 180 days, etc. As I mentioned before, people who stutter already have programs that run that are fluent at least some of the time. And so, yes, a coach can tap into that within 3 days and say, boom, look at you, you're speaking fluent to me right now. It's like, yeah, but that's such a precarious view of it. Like, that's not stable enough. You need to be able to work with your clients and give them a plan that stretches over multiple weeks and multiple months. That's how you strengthen it. That's how you make, if you think of this as a tree, the roots to grow deep and the tree to grow tall, you need those roots to expand and grow deep. Otherwise, you're just very unstable. And then one bad day, on the fourth day, perhaps you have a bad moment, and what happens? Boom, you snap right back to that old program because the new program or the fluency program was not sufficiently strengthened. It didn't become powerful enough. So my honest thought on whether or not you should look at working with Anna Deeter is be very suspicious about any plan. I don't care if it's Anna, anybody else who has any kind of program that is anywhere close to 3 days and that claims, a cure in 3 days, especially with the hefty price tag that comes along with the program. Granted, I don't hate the price tag in of itself, but the fact that it's only 3 days and I'm going to put all my money towards that short amount of time, it kind of has scam written all over it, doesn't it? It feels a little icky. And so when you feel that ick, you might want to trust it. You might want to trust that intuition and look elsewhere for help, such as my free Stop Stuttering workshop. Yes, no shame. Go watch it. I just created a brand new version of this workshop here in 2024. The previous one was a couple years old, and so I learned a lot of new things and a lot of ways to improve and make my method more efficient. And so go watch that. It's completely free. This is an hour-long video training where I walk you through all the steps you need to know to get you on that path to fluency. And if you follow it, if you really commit yourself to this plan, you could see 90% fluency in as little as 3 days. Just kidding, 6 weeks. 90% fluency in as little as 6 weeks. Everybody's different, so it's a bit of a general claim, but that is what is possible, all right? And I want you to get a plan. You need a system in place, so go watch the free Stop Stuttering workshop. It really could change your life, okay? So I'll see you over there. Link is in the description. You can also find it on my website at speakyourmindmethod.com. So thank you so much for watching this video. And if Anna Deeter happens to watch this video at any point, nothing personal. Don't worry. I don't hate you. But I will be honest with the people who come across your website, and because I don't want them to fall for anything that claims to cure stuttering in 3 days, because it's, as Arnold would say, is bullshit. And that was a terrible Arnold impression, and I do not apologize for it. But anyway, I'll see you in the next video.